Perfect. Perfect. Perfect.
This is technology that can change the way people think about money. And if you think, like, money hasn't really evolved since it was invented, and now we have this new thing that can kind of change the game a little bit. So the question then becomes, how do we get people to adopt it? That's the challenge that is faced here right now. So it's this very complicated technical thing that's becoming more and more accessible, and events like this are a part of making it more accessible. Yeah, it's technical and complicated stuff to use. There's nothing especially easy about sending Bitcoin and seeing those transactions confirmed. Here's the temperature I like to take is, when will my mom care about it? When will my mom, use it? Sure. Yeah, when will she say, like, oh, don't give me cash, you can send me Bitcoin? We're not there yet. It's part of the adoption problem. So let's say JP Morgan, for example, as they start developing crypto products that are compatible with regulations, that's going to spill down into everyday people like my mom, who I talked about before. So it's not until the guys who are already finance nerds who start caring about crypto and using it, it's only after that people like my mom will start using it.
So the technology inside, I mean the blockchain itself is not anymore a topic, right? It was 2 years ago maybe. For now it's a mass adoption maybe. This is the most exciting, which is you can see just now how many exchanges, how many companies. Even now in this event you can see a lot of participants who are introducing their companies, and this is spreading and spreading again and again. For now you can see how many companies are introducing not only the trading, but also some supply chains, blockchain solutions, and so on and so forth. I would say the biggest problem now is, again, as the biggest challenge and the biggest problem is always the same thing. It's a mass adoption, definitely, because now you can see how many regulation restricts companies are facing, how many customers are interested in this, and how many customers cannot actually use the products because of the regulation, because of this unstable, let's say, world of the blockchain industry itself. And maybe we will do, maybe not. Actually, we are now focusing on the biggest market value coins to give the opportunity for our customers. As soon as the traditional institutions actually now is not offering something is exciting to customers, right? So you can see how interest rate for Bitcoin and for crypto itself now is become a topic. So institutional investments is now not a topic anymore because the interest rate is not so high. Customers are looking around for some other opportunities to invest in something. Actually, customers and investors don't care where to invest. They need to just to grow their capital, and therefore crypto is becoming the new player and big player.
So right now the most exciting thing about crypto is, as Google has announced their quantum supremacy, how to tackle this issue, because as we know, many cryptocurrencies as we know today, and we thought they are unbreachable, now we have mathematical proof that they will be breachable and that will be vulnerable to signature forgery. So that's one key point, I would say. With crypto right now, I would say one of the biggest problems is mass adoption, and for mass adoption we see a couple entry barriers, such as security, such as speed, I mean transactions per second, because we believe at Quant that for crypto to reach to the masses, we have to push that through integrating the enterprises, because forcing little coffee shops and such to accept Bitcoin, that's not the way to go. So we have to, I wouldn't say convince, but we have to educate enterprises that what they could benefit from crypto, and if they integrate it, this is how it will reach the customers and the end users. Well, Quant is a quantum-resistant blockchain platform for which you can write smart contracts in any language, which is especially important As for quantum security, we know why it's important. As for being able to write smart contracts in any language, it's very important because, as we have seen, if you force a developer to write a contract which handles money in a language he just learned a couple of months ago, well, that's gonna be terrible most likely, and it is, as we have seen at several examples. So we provide them the ability to write smart contracts in a language they have mastered for like 20 years. That's gonna be much more stable, right?
I'm excited about everything that has to do with crypto. I joined the ecosystem in 2012 or so. I'm very excited with the fact that we're creating an alternative external financial system. I think that most of the financial systems are broken, old and problematic, and the fact that we're creating an alternative is awesome. I think still it's not accessible. It's really hard to use, it's really hard to buy. I think that we're going to solve that in a few months. In 3 to 4 months we're going to start rolling out SIMPLEX accounts, which will enable users to open European bank accounts with an IBAN, with their own names, and they'll be able to move money in and out much easier. We're also going to start issuing debit cards connected to these bank accounts, so even if you can't move the money to your home bank account, you're able to spend the funds with a debit card.
I think the most exciting things about blockchain and cryptocurrencies right now, really it comes down to the initial use case is still probably the best use case, which is anything to do with finance, so that's why you're seeing things around, payments, DeFi coming up. I think the next wave is really going to be around data ownership, data privacy, because data is really becoming the currency, and I think blockchain is really going to help that out. And by applying some of those technologies, a bunch of problems can be solved for the next wave. I think the biggest problem in crypto right now would be, aside from usability of making it easier for people to understand and get into, like guys like my dad, but I think the other one is when all our projects came out, the wave of developers that we expected to come in hasn't come in yet. So that's taken a bit more time, and I think a bit more education and tools that actually onboard people in the development community to say, hey, this is an exciting technology to come on. It's not too early adopter, come play with this. That's what's needed.
Most exciting thing in crypto right now, there's a lot. There's a lot of exciting ones. I really like DAOs. I'm really a fan of DAOs. But I think the ones that I'm really excited to see start taking off are security tokens and the digitization of assets. I think that's really going to propel blockchain into a next level with a lot of reputability a bit on big finance. Biggest challenges in crypto right now are kind of merging. We have a lot of nerds who can build really great projects, but they don't know how to market, they don't know how to build nice UI. And so what we need to do is be able to merge the crypto world with the world that we currently have, where it's like easy to use, one-click login. Because right now, people, to use a lot of these platforms, you have to log in with MetaMask and do all these crazy things. Even using a ledger is really, really difficult. So I think the biggest challenge is that people don't have a grandma-proof solution. I think there's a lot of crypto, diehards who are like, own your keys, own your crypto. But I really believe that we need to have multiple options where you can have certain custody accounts so that people who just want ease can be able to opt into those things.
No, I think we need more tokens. I think utility tokens that actually have use cases, kind of like our exchange token that's going to come around. I think we definitely need people to bring about more tokens that have real world use cases sort of thing. So yeah, definitely. Well, I think the token's really exciting because it is going to be the core of our platform. It's kind of like what other exchanges have their own tokens, it's going to be ours, but it will, in the future, we want to help it propagate towards the rest of Bitcoin.com and their properties as well. So it won't just be exchange focused. Future users will be off exchange and elsewhere as well. Within the wallet, its payment system, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, the first uses will be like user discounts, rewards, airdrops, and this entire ecosystem that we're going to further develop sort of things. The token will be core to it. Yeah, I think we're competing with most of the major exchanges out there. Bitcoin.com itself, the brand in and of itself is like so far ahead of any other exchange out there. So yeah, we're competing, but at the same time, we want to be our own exchange, right? So we want to propagate the SLP tokens and that entire environment. We want to make Bitcoin Cash as a base pair, so that's another focus. We're going to do IEOs in the platform. We're going to bring about margin trading, fiat pairs, and that sort of thing. So yeah, a lot of it's the same, but also we're kind of our own entity, and we hope to take it in a different direction at some point.
Well, I would say right now, as we approach the end of the year, there's been a lot of buzz about Libra and CBDC, especially the UN and others. I think those are the most dramatic things that happen to the ecosystem. And they're really driving a lot of institutional support and also interest from governments in this whole crypto assets field. Well, I think one of the things we have seen so far, at least in the last years, as many businesses are trying to see how they can evolve in this ecosystem from, focusing on price and speculation and more refocusing on real use cases that drive revenue, they can transform themselves in sustainable businesses, and they can be real drivers of value in this ecosystem, not just based on pricing and speculation. That's a very interesting topic. I think in terms of backed, I think it's really driving more institutional adopters to look at this market as something that they will and should allocate part of their portfolio for long-time growth and return on investment. As for institutions for the long term, I think ETFs will play a bigger role as more and more get approved in the next year or years. And I think that will really help to drive the BTC ecosystem specifically, and maybe others such as Ethereum as they progress and as the regulatory authorities take a more proactive view and think those assets are mature enough to warrant more complex structures in terms of financials. Yeah, so right now at UTRUST, we are onboarding more merchants as we speak. Actually, our latest one, Alternative Airlines, just joined the UTRUST family. And now, as a user, you can buy air tickets using one of your favorite cryptocurrencies.
Oh, I would say, like from the previous years, I actually answered the same questions a lot of time last year. People keep saying like the mass adoption, the infrastructure, etc., right? But obviously this year we're seeing a lot of regulation coming in. So I would say this year, like regulation is definitely one of the barrier or the challenge for a lot of different projects. But at the same time, it's an opportunity, right? So I was sitting in a panel yesterday talking about how we can bring institutional players into this field. I would say one is regulation, second is infrastructure. So with a sound and robust and clear regulations, they will bring in a lot more institutional players that actually will make the whole infrastructure even better.
I see regulation as an opportunity. If this industry, if this domain wants to move to the mainstream, there's no other option. And I believe that if you are a non-regulated company in this domain, long run, you will be out of business, or you will be a niche business, which is also legitimate. But if you are a financial institution, like the eToro group, you need to be regulated and you need to embrace it with love and not see it as a problem, and this is what we are doing. Next year, I think the challenge is going to be like being a teenager, that you are not a child anymore, but you're still not an adult. This is where we are now. It's clear that we are going towards the mainstream, but we are still not there. Regulators, we have more and more regulators doing it. Still not everybody know how to do it. Banks, you see more and more banks doing it. Still you see many question marks of how to do it. But I remember my teenage time as a very enjoyable, so I'm looking forward to 2020.
I think the most exciting thing is again the decentralization and the community kind of angle, like the crowd economies angle, shared economies angle, and I think the world is moving towards that. Like the global institutional trust is at an all-time low, and the whole global economy is rooting for something different, and which we think is the decentralized, shared economy of the future world. So that's the most exciting thing. I mean, I will talk completely from the business sense. I think currently the biggest problem in crypto is the capital. Many people think that, there is a lot of funds in the crypto for the projects to bootstrap their projects as well as the community. But right now, like the markets are very dried up. Like we find it very difficult, and it's very sad that many good teams who are trying to build big applications today, they don't have any funding support from the investors. And if you see the real world, let's say the mobile application world, you will see 10,000, like the ratio of a successful application to the number of application build is around 1 to 10,000, right? And in crypto, there are not even like total 10,000 applications. Like how can we expect like multiple big applications without much experimentation? And for like, that experimentation, you need funds. So I think that's the biggest issue.
I think the whole DeFi space is actually quite interesting at this point. The ability for a user to actually not just hold their cryptocurrency, but also to be able to use it in some way where they can earn returns. So whether it's from staking or mining, but particularly I think that like borrowing and lending is pretty amazing. Right now, with only being able to earn sub 1% returns, especially as a US citizen, the ability to take whether it's stablecoin or even our own cryptocurrency, and the ability to just basically put it somewhere where it actually is generating returns is pretty amazing in today's environment. The biggest challenge cryptocurrency is facing right now is purely adoption. The fact is, if you look at pretty much any of the top chains, you have maybe 10 D apps that have more than 1,000 daily active users. And that's a problem. And it's a problem that can be solved. But it's a problem that we have to also focus on significantly. That for us, for Tomochain, I think the real solution here is trying to integrate blockchain into real-world applications rather than trying to bring users into the crypto world, because tremendous amount of friction. How do you get someone to actually use an existing D app? They have to go through an exchange, first buy Bitcoin, then they have to buy an alt, then they have to figure out what your ecosystem is. Too much friction. I would rather have it where I can integrate blockchain as a technology into a real application, and users don't even have to know that they're using blockchain, they're using cryptocurrency. So really, it's about user adoption, and I think the solution here is we must find a reason to integrate blockchain into real-world applications.
So I think the most exciting thing in crypto are NFTs. I think they're going to revolutionize just how we interact with games, and I think that's really what's going to go on board as many people as possible into the crypto experience. So the biggest challenges right now is that we're in a long, protracted bear market. Prices are down, and as a consequence, some of the interest is low right now. But I don't think that's going to stay that way. I think that the power of crypto and a decentralized future is going to keep bringing people to this space. And as that continues to progress, technologies progress, and the number of products and solutions that this ecosystem offers is really going to go drive innovation, which in turn will bring more people here.
Yeah, so one of the biggest challenges in the industry is definitely that there's a lot of noise without so much adoption. So it could be really distracting for the layperson to get into crypto, because they'll just become overwhelmed very easy when they look at like CoinMarketCap and they see that there's 2,000 plus coins, and knowing what each of them do and what purpose they have in respect to their application. And I think one of the most exciting things about the blockchain space is that it's really, we've seen a consolidation of power in the tech giants, and blockchain enables people to take back, some of their rights and gives them back some of their freedom and how they live their day-to-day life in terms of transacting, storing their data, and even selling it, and giving them more traceability into the things they use.
So what's the most exciting thing in crypto right now? That's a really hard question to answer. But I personally like my own project. It's called Sora, and I think moving from just simple cryptocurrencies or tokens to entire economic systems that are decentralized is going to be a game changer. But I honestly, there are some interesting things that are happening out there. So for example, Polkadot is a really exciting project that I'm interested in personally. And yeah, things like Filecoin I think can also provide a lot of utility to people. So crypto is facing lots of challenges today. I think the biggest is user interface, which is the same it has been since I got into crypto in 2013. It's still way too difficult for normal people to get into crypto and to use it. It's still too dangerous for normal people, because if they lose their keys, then they lose everything. So building safeguards around that can be potentially helpful. In Sora, we're exploring different ways to use governance to solve these user interface problems. So for example, having a type of committee that the community can vote on
to recover people's keys if they need to. But it's going to be a long road. There's going to be lots of experimentation that are needed, and I think that it's going to be a little bit of a while before a normal person like your parents could buy crypto and safely use it.
So, okay, adoption is of course now the key question, because I think we now have quite mature blockchain technology right now, including our products that are already in production quite a lot. So about adoption, right now there are two separate areas of applications for blockchain. One is tokens, exchanges, market making, public applications that are based off token of value. The other is corporate permissioned private applications, which are very strict on KYC and permissioning regulation and so on. I think the big potential of blockchain is when these two types of industries or applications will merge into one, so that the big corporates can actually start to use token of value and the regulations will be in place. I think that's when blockchain technology will reach its full potential. As a technical person, I always like to think about technical limitations. I think one of the first and foremost right now is the end user experience. I think that existing platforms are not usable enough at the moment. For example, one huge problem is that on every decentralized application today, the end user needs to pay transaction fees in Ether, in Bitcoin, gas, but the user only wants to use a blockchain and decentralized application. They don't necessarily want to deal with crypto and exchanges and paying taxes and so on. So for that, we have an excellent solution with the Aggroed platform using the child chain, where we have a solution where the businesses can sponsor the transaction fees for the users, which I think is a huge step forward in usability towards mainstream adoption. Look, I started with crypto in 2014, and I think again, as a programmer, the ability to build a computer program that actually represents a token of value is something unprecedented. I mean, for developers, it's of course very exciting that the program you develop has a value by itself, not just after it's not just as a product that someone installed, but that the program itself is a token of value.
Top 3 altcoins for me would be still Ethereum, because that has the most developers, has the use cases built on it, and has the most traction. Second one would probably be Chainlink is good, because easy to understand, data oracles come in, you need that validation. And then third is, I think MATIC is great, because, hey, what does it do? It makes something easy, like Ethereum, more scalable. So it's really understandable and addresses a pain point that everybody gets.
Top 3 altcoins. Ooh, that's a good question. Well, I guess Ethereum's an altcoin, so I'll go for Ethereum. Second altcoin, I'll go with Maker, be my second. And I'm gonna leave it at 2. I'll do a plug, one up, my own.
Well, top 3 altcoins in my opinion. Well, first is Quant for sure, which is yet to be released. Second, I would say, is Ethereum, because it inspired a lot of us, and this is how many of us eventually got into the crypto sphere, I'm sure. And the third one, I would say Monero, because of its cryptological beauty. I mean, the way it's constructed, the logic behind it, it's just awesome.
So Cosmos seems to be very interesting lately. Have some good friends there. Ethereum's, they're always building, so you have to respect that. And Zcash for leading their privacy efforts.
I would say it's Ripple. I would say it's EOS. and for now, definitely BNB or Binance Coin become a big player now.
If you think about a platform like TikTok, it's extremely popular. People love these humorous, entertaining videos. But if you add a blockchain layer to something like that, you get something like Pepo, where you can tip your favorite creators and express, beyond liking and commenting, you can actually give them something more meaningful than that, money. I don't care. It doesn't matter. No, I try to be very, very neutral about, I don't hold cryptocurrency. I'm pretty familiar with the technology. I have sent and received it, Bitcoin, but I don't hold it. I work in news. I have to be pretty neutral.
I do not own any cryptocurrency myself. That doesn't help you, right? No, but the point is, so do I own any crypto? I actually do not own any crypto myself for a very simple reason, is I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a builder. I should not spend time trying to trade whatever on the side, and my job is to make sure that we deliver the product that we are paid for and that actually is going to work. And money for us, and including my team, should not be a goal, but only a reward.
Bitcoin Cash. Yeah. No, so top 3 altcoins I like Tezos, which is pretty good. It's doing really well these days. What else do I like? What else am I holding actually? I like Phantom quite a bit. Phantom's like, an Asian project. They're doing some really big things, with central banks and central authorities and that sort of thing. So they're about to release some really big news. And what else do I hold? I used to be a big VeChain fan, and now it's kind of like making a comeback a little bit. It's been up like 40% over the last couple of weeks, sort of thing. And I like Engine actually. I met the CEO of Engine yesterday. That was pretty good.
My first altcoin is Ethereum always, because if we can consider Ethereum altcoin, like now these days, it's like this one. Yeah, apart from Ethereum, I would say MATIC is one. And I would say Republic Protocol is a very good project, and they are like trying to bridge Bitcoin into different kind of blockchain. So that would be the second one for me. And of course, like, who can forget BNB? Like, ideally that is the number one. Like after Ethereum, BNB, MATIC, and maybe Republic Protocol. Yeah.
I keep my life pretty simple. I used to own like 1 million different tokens, and I personally believe that Steem is actually one of the strongest blockchains, and we need Steem to go power our business because it's built on the Steem blockchain. So I've narrowed down basically all of my other tokens into Steem so that our game can grow and we can use the social media that's built on it. So I don't have tons of either experience or too much focus on what the futures markets and crypto trading, like a lot of that speculation. I'm more interested in application, and that's where I've spent my time and focus.
So actually, Near protocol is very interesting, and Zcoin. The Lelantis algorithm, I think, is a game changer in privacy tech. And there's no other coins I like.
So TomoX is a decentralized protocol to allow for anyone to launch a DEX, a decentralized exchange, right on top of the Tomochain set of master nodes, the entire consensus layer. It's a layer 1 protocol. So that means that essentially anyone launching a DEX on top of Tomochain, it's going to be incredibly fast. Tomochain is at 2000 TPS, 2-second block time. So every single DEX that launches on top of the Tomochain network, it'll be super fast from an end user experience. Second of all, there's a shared liquidity pool. So bids and asks, you can have a bid on one DEX, an ask on another one, and they'll see it. They can share it. And I think beyond that, it's a truly permissionless, decentralized exchange. That means everything is on chain. You don't have a centralized component. When you don't have a centralized component, it can be incredibly secure. And I think this is going to be the future for any form of value transactions. It's going to have to be decentralized. You don't want a centralized party, a third party sitting in the middle. So TomoX is going to be one of those, I think, amazing protocols that's going to allow the turnkey solutions that allow anyone to launch a DEX in minutes. And so we can really focus on what is it that a user actually wants? How can we get customer acquisition? How can we drive value for users rather than trying to focus on just the tech itself?
I think it's very much related to the price and general volatility. I'd say that generally speaking, it's better than it was a year ago. We had a pretty nice bump in June with all the Facebook and Libra announcements. It kind of settled down since then. And I'd say that because we serve retail users, usually we're most affected by news. Whether it's good news, bad news, what affects the volumes we see is volatility. But generally speaking, I would say that we enable about 1 to 2 million a day in volume of new money, mind you, new users getting into crypto. So I would say, generally speaking, yeah, the ecosystem is definitely growing.
Quant decentralization relies on a model that we serve two components. One will be the public chain, and one will be proof of authority kind of implementation, which can be run privately by enterprises, offers very high TPS, and is connected to the public mainnet as well to make it also transparent and auditable. So this way, we provide the enterprises with high-speed internal networks, yet they can realize all the benefits of a public blockchain. Now, as I said, yes, you can implement smart contracts in any language. As for the demo, which we will release end of this year, you will be able to write smart contracts in C, C++, Rust, and also TypeScript, which is a superset of JavaScript.
Yeah, good question. So institutional money is an inevitability in the blockchain space. How it enters, I feel, is really to be seen. I think a lot of people think that Bitcoin is going to be the end-all, be-all, and it very well could be. But there's going to be other modalities of financial instruments, different applications for blockchain technology. And I think this is maybe the route where institutional money may really start to flood into, or big money. You know, you look at the tokenization of different hedge funds or the tokenization of mega real estate projects. I think that's where we're going to really start seeing a mass entrance of really large money. And so it may not move the market in the way that people expect it to, but it's an inevitability. Blockchain is bringing cheaper fees, faster transaction times, and so this is just the direction that we're headed. I think blockchain, you know, everyone thinks it's either good or bad, but there's all these places in between. You can look at a solution like Libra as well. A lot of these things just have means to an end. I feel like Libra is something that will allow for a lot of financial inclusion to over half the world who's underbanked or unbanked. A lot of us here at the conference in the first world, you know, that's not really on our mind, where we all have bank accounts, we're all fairly well off, and so we're like, oh, we can be utopianistic and be like decentralized and all these beautiful things, but for the majority of the world, solutions like Libra are really, really powerful. And so to circle that back, I think what China is doing makes sense in their application. And we're going to see all sides of the spectrum of blockchain, the utopias and governments that are just trying to like squeeze the populace to do exactly what they want. Yeah, so altcoin buzz, Shash and his crew have been absolutely crushing it on Uptrend. So Uptrend's big model is you reward people who put out good content. And so Shash, the crew, they put out epic content every day, like all the best news, categorized, formulated in such a great way. So they're crushing it on Uptrend right now. I'm pretty sure they're number one, or at least top 3 every single week. So number 1, he says, behind the camera. So if you want to challenge yourself and take down altcoin buzz, join Uptrend, because right now he's the figurehead and he's the big dog.
The main focus of the exchange is BCH. So our primary market is Bitcoin Cash focus. So we've got most altcoins listed against Bitcoin Cash pairs. We're also bringing about new tokens based on SLP, which is Bitcoin Cash's protocol, simple ledger protocol based on a Bitcoin Cash chain. We've just launched our first token earlier this week called Flex from CoinFlex, which is the derivatives exchange. We've got a lot more SLP coins that are in. We've got a lot more SLP coins that are going to be launched. There's one that launched today called SiteShift. There's a few more coming in next week. Yeah, that's how we're growing the exchange now. These coins are on Simple Ledger Protocol, which is a protocol based on Bitcoin Cash's blockchain.
Why can't the same thing be replicated on
I have no fucking idea, actually. Let's pass on that question.
You can say whatever, like the BTC core team doesn't care about this stuff or whatever?
BCH is a different value proposition from Ethereum. BCH is more peer-to-peer currency, peer-to-peer value transfer. Ethereum being a platform for other currencies to build and tokens to build upon. So it's a different value proposition. Bitcoin Cash itself is really achieving what it was built for. So like right now you've got 5,000 merchants that accept BCH. You've got people that are using the wallet, 5 million users that are using the wallet. Ethereum, on the other hand, is a whole different platform. Although Vitalik has been very complimentary of the BCH blockchain, obviously for its speed and transaction, that sort of thing. What Bitcoin Cash does have is Simple Ledger Protocol, which is, you know, our answer to Ethereum. So it's a lot faster. There's 300,000-400,000 transactions happening on it on a daily basis. A lot of projects are building their tokens on it. So that's our answer to Ethereum. So it's a complement to BCH. It's not, you know, competing with anything. Yeah, I think the progress being made on Bitcoin Cash is so far ahead of Bitcoin Core. But no, I'd say Bitcoin Cash is you know, a blockchain and a product that's constantly being developed and constantly being expanded upon. And you know, we're using Bitcoin Cash as a means of payment and value transfer. And so that comes with a lot more development. So I care about it in the same way that, you know, how the core tenets of Bitcoin were peer-to-peer currency, peer-to-peer value transfer. That's how I look at it, and that's how I think Bitcoin Cash is achieving it. Like, the transaction speeds are fast, blocks are going faster, like everything, merchants are accepting Bitcoin Cash now. People are actually kind of using it as a currency across Europe and Asia, that sort of thing. So I think it's achieving what it was meant to be. SV, I have no opinion on. I could care less about whatever. Bitcoin Core is Bitcoin Core. Bitcoin Core, you know, people who are really purists care about Bitcoin Core. It's fine. Like, some people like it. That's perfectly okay. But I think the true purpose of what Bitcoin is supposed to be is what Bitcoin Cash is kind of doing.
So yeah, like we have a new app in US with Alec Baldwin. So that one is very interesting one because obviously Alec Baldwin is himself is a very busy man with 4 kids. So like it represents a lot of our clients that, you know, everyone, they have their own job, they have their own family. But at the same time, they also want to do investment, right? So what is the solution for you, which is what we call the copy trading. In eToro, you can actually select a lot of different traders. It's all transparent. You can see the returns, you can see the risks. All you need to do is just to choose the right candidate, the right, what we call the popular investors to follow and copy. And even better, you can actually communicate with these traders and you can, you know, discuss about the trading strategy with him. If you recognize this is the right guy for you to copy, just copy. So, you know, I think this is he's the right person to represent a lot of our clients.
And also I think that this campaign or this ad was done in a very nice way. People are smiling, people are laughing when they see it. And this is also part of our culture. Like we know each other for a few years already. And you know that in the same time that we are managing a big business, we are very friendly and we are very open. And this is part of our culture, this is part of our values. And this is also why we believe that this is a good ad, a good campaign for us. One most exciting thing is just last week, we acquired a company, a Belgium company called Delta App. This company has a very good mobile application that actually allows people that have various places in which they keep their portfolio of crypto assets to consolidate into one place and to see exactly what happens with this portfolio. It's a very strong team of developers. They have a very, very solid customer base, and we just acquired them. They will be a part of eToroX, and we are starting now a path towards integration of their product with our products. No, they are not an exchange. They are more of a reporting and sharing information application. And they are actually a complementary tool to what we are doing in eToroX, which is also the exchange.
So I personally used Delta long times ago. Back 2 years ago, when a lot of people invest in ICO, that by definition you have to open up a lot of trading account with different exchange, and it's very difficult for you to manage your tokens. And a lot of people using Excel sheet to handle, your portfolio. And Delta is designed for people like this to keep tracking of, your crypto portfolio in the apps in a very nice way to present how much crypto you're owning right now. So yeah, I'm very excited about this acquisition.
There are many blockchains, and there is place for many different solutions in the world. Like you see, many types of databases and enterprise serial buses and all kinds of application servers. There is no one solution fits all. I think that in a sense we are way ahead of Ethereum on some aspects of the platform. We are way behind Ethereum in adoption at the moment. So it will be interesting how this plays out. 3 protocols. Why do we have 3 protocols? NXT was one of the first proof-of-stake blockchain protocols launched in 2013 by anonymous developers. We basically the team of Gelorida basically picked up the development of NXT, established the company, and on top of NXT, which one of the most promising projects of 2014, 2015, on top of that we built Ardor, which is the first multi-chain architecture running in production, where the parent chain is using the NXT proof of stake, and the child chains are based on the decentralized application development platform introduced by NXT. So we have parent chain token, which is called Ardor, and the first child chain token is called Ignis. Then we still have the NXT blockchain. That's why we have 3 different tokens that we support. So in the last couple of months, we released some major progress in blockchain. We can now run full node of Ardor on any mobile device. Any Android mobile device can be a full node. And think about it. I mean, everybody talk about blockchain decentralization and so on. But if you look at most blockchains, you have like 10 entities that control the whole thing. Now think about having that each person can have a full node of the blockchain in his pocket. Isn't that the ultimate decentralization, right? So that's, we believe in decentralization and equality, and I think this is a major step forward into achieving actual the vision of Satoshi, all right?
So I'm in Singapore because what we're looking for as a business is new players. We have a very successful trading card game. The game's been played 10 million times. We have 3,500 daily active users. The players have traded $1 million worth of cards back and forth. So we have a really successful game, and we just want more and more players. We have a mobile app that's coming out in the next 30 days, and it's going to help us onboard just a huge chunk of the Asian community, which really relies on mobile devices. I don't trade. I mostly just sit in one coin because this is something that I think is going to grow. I mean, it could very well help our industry, and to have, having financial partners coming into this ecosystem is clearly only going to drive prices of everything up, which will drive interest into the space. The question is, are we able to, the first round, it went into a lot of scammy ICOs. The question is, if a lot more money comes into the space, can we build real businesses solving real problems with applications that attract a lot of users? If we can do that, we're going to have a phenomenal experience and watch really a crypto revolution. And if it all just goes into scammy ICOs where you promise everything, deliver nothing, then it's going to hurt the ecosystem. So we have to be smart as a community and make sure that we're funding projects and people that can deliver on what they promise.
So Qtum is its own blockchain. It's proof of stake. It uses the UTXO model from Bitcoin, and we combine that with the virtual machine from Ethereum by having a middle layer that allows the account layer to talk to the UTXO layer, and that by having that layer, we could have multiple virtual machines on top. So currently we're building our x86 virtual machine, so people could write smart contracts in more mainstream languages like Rust and C++. So we just had our first hard fork last month, and it was one of the first pure proof-of-stake hard forks at this scale. So that was very interesting. We added some cryptographic primitives for privacy. We added a new opcode to allow for third-party gas payments, and we upgraded our EVM to the Constantinople version.
I came to Singapore to shill my new crypto project called Sora. So we're a new, like a decentralized central bank. It's called a decentralized autonomous economy. And our goal is to create an economic system where new coins are minted according to referendum. And so you can propose a new project, like a good or service, and then the community can vote on whether or not to mint new coins and give it to the projects. Yeah, Backed is very interesting, and there's lots of other interesting institutional projects. I know Fidelity is doing some interesting work with crypto assets. There's a large bank in Singapore that I heard today has a job offer for a digital asset manager, which is quite interesting. So it's obviously the future. I think we're going to see several thousand% growth in this field as an investment space for financial institutions over the next few years. But whether that's going to be cryptocurrencies or not, I don't know. I think that a lot of the things that people will be investing in are just going to be the natural extension of current things like derivatives and other types of financial products.